Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 4th episode of the Bulldog Breakdown out of the WRPS studio. I'm your host, Ben Carpine, and today we have a really special episode that I've been looking forward to a lot. To my left right here, we have Megan Khang. She just won her first LPGA tour ever. Megan, I'm really glad to have you on the show. It's really an honor.
Honestly, Ben, coming back to Rockland High School, it's bringing back all the memories. I don't know, some good, some bad. Just kidding, all good. But no, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, it is an honor to have you. So I just have a few questions, just kind of a standard interview, and we'll see how it goes from there. My first question, I can certainly say that Rockland is very proud to, say that you're from Rockland and that you're Rockland High School alumni. And I wanted to ask, is there anything specific about like the Rockland culture, the Bulldog culture, that helped you develop into the athlete and the person that you've become today?
No comment.
No comment?
No. No, I wanted to see what your reaction was going to be. Honestly, there's a ton of like Bulldog pride, and I think, especially growing up here and going to the sporting events and having like friends that were on the sports team, you could really see that like we all like kind of bled blue out there. And so that kind of helped me like motivate myself to be better for myself in my own sport.
That's awesome. That's that's part of the Bulldog pride culture. It's just kind of bleeding blue. That really is it. You are arguably the most famous person to ever, grow up and come from Rockland. Do you have any advice for young Rocklanders that are trying to succeed similar to yourself?
I've never thought of that, about being like the most famous person out of Rockland, but if that's the case, I don't expect to be the last. For me personally, I think it's just more so like, don't kind of handcuff yourself to thinking what you can succeed in life, because, obviously Rockland's a very small town and there's not many of us in here. It's a very small high school in a sense. Like, I don't know how many classmates you have your senior year. I think we only had like 11.
Yeah, that's basically our class too.
Exactly. And so, I think because it's like such a tight-knit school, you can push each other, and like we've had kids go to Stanford and Texas and every other big-name school. So I think, just trying to make yourself proud and Rockland proud, it's just something to motivate yourself, and just, never give up, because there's so much more you can do in life, and you can always come back and visit like I am.
A lot of people think that golf is a men's sport, and there is some data to back that claim. Forbes magazine says that 70% of golfers are male, making it by far the majority. As a female professional golfer, what is it like to be setting an example for young female golfers around the globe?
I will say, like, golf is a predominantly, like, men's sport, but at the same time, I think as the generations have gone on, the women's game has grown in a sense, like, each year getting more and more, and I think that's what you kind of look for. And so, although we're still slightly behind the men in percentage-wise, it's pretty cool to see that each year you see the entries of, like, women's golf, and from the juniors to the seniors into, like, the junior golf league. It's incredible to see how many just people in general are playing golf. I think golf itself was just kind of labeled as an upper class sport when it first came out, but nowadays, there's so many programs that are making it more accessible and more fun for people to just try to get into golf instead of, not being given the opportunity.
A question I think that all high school athletes have. As a professional bound athlete, how did you balance your schoolwork and your practice for golf?
That, for me, was actually huge on my relationship with the teachers. So a lot of times, for those who know Miss Walsh, a perfect example is that there was a lot of times where in the wintertime, I would have to go down to Florida to play in a few events, and by December, you have all, like, your midterms and everything going on. And there were times where, like, both, like, Miss Walsh, Mac, like, everyone, every teacher that I had, I would kind of approach them like, hi, I'm leaving before the midterm. Is there any way I could take the midterms before everyone else, like after school, before I left? And so that was huge on like both my teachers being able to give me the extra time that I needed after school, but also like me taking the initiative to try to keep my grades up, because at the end of the day, like if you're gonna go to college, like you still need to keep your grades up. And although I didn't go to college, I knew that like no matter how good I was at golf, you still had to have the grades to kind of back you up on that.
Okay. I know I've definitely heard great things from basically every high school teacher who I've talked to about you. So it's really cool. What was a typical day? This is kind of a follow-up question. What was a typical day like for you as a Rockland student / golfer?
It was very routine for me. So obviously wake up, come to school, but I took the bus to school. And so I take the bus home, and instead of like doing like homework and stuff after, I would go straight to the golf course and then kind of have dinner and then do homework after. But then occasionally, like once in a while, just hang out with friends. I will say, like, I did kind of lie to my parents here and there. Sometimes when I wanted to hang out with friends, like, I'm pretty sure they knew.
I feel that.
But like I needed like a break sometimes, but I try to balance it out. And then like on the weekends I'd have like golf tournaments or maybe just hang out with a couple friends.
Okay. What's it like being able to travel around the globe and play the sport that you love?
Honestly, it's a dream. It's my 8th year on tour, and it gets a little harder as the years go on just because you get a little older and it's a little tougher to travel. But for the most part, it's nothing more than I could dream of. It's something that I pictured myself doing as a young kid, and I'm living it out day by day. And, between learning new cultures, trying new foods, and just kind of, at the end of the day, playing a sport for a living, it's all you could ever ask for.
Where is your favorite course and why?
Funny enough, little bias, my favorite course is right in Hingham, called Boston Golf Club.
Really?
It's my home course. But no, like, I've played that course since I was like 9 years old, like once a year. And then when I turned pro, they gave me an honorary membership. And so I try to play it as much as I can. I actually just played yesterday, and it was in like the best shape I'd ever seen it this whole year. But everywhere I've traveled, it always comes back to like Boston Golf Club being my favorite track.
Looking back at your decision to go pro rather than college, how do you think that has affected the trajectory of your career?
I guess that's always the question, right? College versus turning pro. And for me, funny enough, Miss Walsh was always like, you never know. But at the same time, like, I didn't even know if golf was going to pan out the way it did for me, or the way it has for me. But for me, I was in such a good place in golf at 17, 18 years old that, for me, I was saying, if I go try to get my LPGA card, there's two things that can happen. I can either make it and turn pro, or I can just take like a gap year and go as like a 2016 freshman somewhere. And so knowing that I had kind of like a backup plan definitely helped. But because I was playing so well at the time, I took a chance on me and I bet on myself. And thankfully it all worked out. But looking back, like I would have loved to go to school for about a year, but at the end of the day, like, you can always go back to school. So it's something that, that's not out of the picture for me.
And that is my follow-up question actually is, do you think you'll go to college at any point, and what do you think you would study in college?
So for those who don't know, I would have gone to Wake Forest. I never committed to them because I didn't want to possibly take a spot away from the roster if I had gone pro. So for me, I never committed. They always said they would hold a spot for me, which I deeply appreciated. But if I wanted to go to Wake just because I knew they had such a great business program. And so I really want to learn business, especially I think in life that can't really hurt you. I think it can help you just kind of grow yourself as a business and help yourself financially in a sense of investments and savings and everything.
That's very interesting. Do you think that going to college to play golf and then going pro would have made you a better enough golf player to make going to play college golf worthwhile? I know that's kind of a long question, but...
No, I will say, so Wake Forest is the only school I went on a official visit with, and I will forever remember this moment because it truly changed my whole thought process and the whole reason why I was so confident going into Q school. So qualifying school is where you get your LPGA card. And so I had gone on an official visit to Wake. Pretty much they gave me the rundown, and my dad and I got pulled aside by the head coach and the assistant coach. And so the head coach was like, you've seen what we have to offer you. Like, are you going to commit to us now? And I was like, well, I still have to think about it. But the assistant coach, his name is Kevin Diaz. His wife was on tour, on the LPGA tour at the time, and he chimed in. He said, as much as I'd love to see you come here, I honestly think that your level of golf right now is good enough to be on the LPGA tour. We could help you learn some time management skills. And so I took that to heart because the head coach gave him a nasty glare, like, what are you doing type of situation. And, it meant a lot to me because he did not have to say all that. He didn't have to be truthful with me and honest in the sense that he thought I was good enough. But in hindsight, I think college would have kind of helped in a sense of maturing a little quicker. But yeah, just being tossed into the world of professional golf at 18, you grow up real quick, a little faster than you would think. But at the same time, it's a lot harder just because you're on your own out there rather than having a little guidance. So I think it would have helped me in a sense of learning the ropes a little quicker, but at the same time not feeling like I'm rushing everything.
Mm-hmm. Can you explain what it was like after years of training to finally get a victory at the LPGA? What were some of the thoughts and emotions that were going through your mind at that time?
Funny enough, when I made the putt to win, I thought I missed the putt, so my celebration wasn't that funny or fun. But no, after 7.5, 8 years on tour, it's such a relief to kind of get that first win. Everyone always says the first one's the hardest. I'm pretty sure that the second one is just as hard, but to know that you have one win under your belt is huge, and I think it just shows to myself and my character that hey, we can persevere and we can do it. You've done it before, you can do it again. And so it's such a great feeling, and it almost feels like a weight's been lifted off the shoulders, and you just get back out there and do it again.
That's awesome. I'll do some less serious questions, I think, because we've done kind of a couple of introspective questions, so I'll move off of those a little bit. Your social media shows you've become quite a coffee connoisseur, as we can see Starbucks right here. What do you think, Dunkin', Mary Lou's, Starbucks, or Honeydew?
If it's local, I will say I do like a good Mary Lou's. I used to get the iced mochaccino, and then I realized how sweet it was. I swear the iced mochaccino just tastes like chocolate milk. But no, I like a good Starbucks on the road. If I can't find a local one, I always try to find local ones and support small businesses, and they're typically a lot better. But for the most part, I'll try anything. But to me, I'm not gonna lie, Dunkin' and Honeydew they taste like water to me.
Really? I'm a big Dunkin' guy. I've had Mary Lou's a couple times, and I thought it was so sweet. I thought.
Really, that's so fun. So I used to have Dunkin' all the time because I don't know if there's still a Dunkin' down the street.
That one closed, but there's still one at.
In the plaza.
Yeah.
So that Dunkin' that closed, my friend and I used to walked in the morning before school to go get one. And I look back and I'm wow, I was drinking straight milk and sugar. Because nowadays I just drink a iced oat milk latte.
Oh, okay.
So I do look more espresso than iced coffee.
Okay. Now that you've achieved your first win, what's your main goal on tour?
To not stop at one. I think the big goal overall is to hopefully one day get to world number one, get a couple majors under the belt, and honestly just keep striving to be better. I think, being able to kind of put big goals on your list is huge. Gives you something to motivate yourself to something bigger. And, I always say aim big, miss small. And the saying is oh, if you aim for the moon, you're still one of the stars.
Yeah.
And so I try to model it after that kind of whole saying.
Do you have any hobbies or interests outside of golf that you'd like to share?
Outside of golf, so my off season is typically Thanksgiving to end of January. And so during that time, I love to go snowboarding.
Snowboarding, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been snowboarding. I've never even been skiing, but I've been sledding. That counts. What's on the horizon now for the next couple of months then?
For me, I actually leave next Friday for 2 events in Asia. So the first week will be in Korea. Next week will be Malaysia. I'll come back home for like a week, and then I'll finish out my season with the last 2 in Florida. And then I'll come back home for the holidays.
All right. And is there anything else that you'd like to add or share before we can start to wrap this up?
Honestly, I'm so happy to be here with you. This is great. I mean, coming back to high school brings back all the memories, and it's crazy to see that, you know, some of my classmates are actually teachers here. And so it's wild to see like how far we've come in life and how many, you know, different ways we all grow up, but again, stay kind of connected through high school. So it's pretty fun. And again, you know, Rockland may be a small town, but I know it's not the end of the world hearing about us.
Well, that pretty much wraps up all the questions that I have left. Megan, it's been really an honor to have you on. You know, this is my first ever interview that I've done on the Bulldog Breakdown. And I'm really glad to have someone, you know, as professional as you are to be able to come back to, you know, your own alma mater, have a high school, and to come on the show. So that's really awesome, and I really do thank you very much for coming on the show. That is the 4th episode of the Bulldog Breakdown. Again, I'm your host, Ben Carpine, alongside Megan Khang. We will see you next week. And Megan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ben.
And we will wrap this up now. Well, folks, I want to thank you for watching this episode of the Bulldog Breakdown. I'm Ben Carpine. Huge shout out to Megan Khang for coming on the show. We'll see you again shortly with our next episode of the Bulldog Breakdown. But for now, I'm Ben Carpine, and we will see you next week. Go Dogs.